Bobby, Brendon, and Brian. That's what it was growing up. As soon as I heard those words, it's almost like Christmas. Bobby, Brendon, and Brian were coming over. And then Garrett too, but that was many years later. So I was the oldest. Brendon's my cousin, so I was born. And then Bobby, another cousin, Jordan, then Seth, and then Brendon. We grew up together in upstate New York, hiking, canoeing around Lakeville, playing hockey, family trips, everything. We shared absolutely everything together. We were brothers. After high school, I stayed around Saratoga Springs to run a landscape business as a summer job. And Brendon needed a job as well. And so he would come out every summer, and him and I would run this landscape business. Some of my fondest memories of that period in my life, very formidable years, were spent with Brendon. Every morning we'd get up with the sun at about 6 a.m. and I'd go knock on my brother's room. He'd throw something at me and tell me to get out. And I'd walk over to Brendon's room. Brendon was sleeping in this little pink room that we had in the summer. And he'd be up and ready to go. We'd go to the store around the corner and get a couple Red Bulls. And we went for it. Brendon was one of my best, hardest workers. He was the guy that I knew I could leave at the job. He was managing other guys. About 18, 19 years old, and he was running his own landscape crew. And he had so much potential. A few of the funnier stories from that period. You guys heard the car Cliff story that kind of ended the summer. So he did always go out with a bang. There was one payday. Actually, we had finished our first job, and this was the first job. We had this driveway job, whatever it was. We got like a $2,000 paycheck. It was more money than I think we'd ever seen. So we took the next day and we went to Lakeville with my brother, Brendon. We spent the whole day on the boat. We may have bought some booze, been out there drinking in the sun all day. And at some point, there was another canoe that passed us with some pretty remarkable speed. We were like, we can't let these guys pass us. There's no way we're going to stop it. And so we thought it'd be a good idea to try to race them. We had all of our stuff in the boat, our cell phones, car keys, money, wallets, you name it. And at some point, we were getting a lot of speed. Somebody stood up. Next thing you know, we're capsized in the middle of the lake. Bottles and cans floating all over the place. And our keys, our cell phones, everything's gone. So that was a really late night. That was another phone call from my dad. Pick us up. There's another quick little story. Brendon got paid. We got paid. I gave Brendon $300 or $400 for like a week of work, and we were down in Long Island. We went out to a Mexican restaurant, pretty nice Mexican restaurant in Wausau somewhere. And early on in the dinner, Brendon went to the bathroom. Comes back and he's like, "Guys, shoot! I'm in the bathroom, and I see this wad of money over in the corner, and I run for it, and this little kid beat me out." And so we're like, "Oh yeah, Brendon, too bad. That would have been great." Anyway, so in about an hour into dinner, all of a sudden Brendon shoots up and runs out of the restaurant. Comes back, and he's just like all deflated. He's like, "Guys, remember that money? That was my money." And that was just, we just chalk it up to another Brendini story. And the Brendini name, I don't know how many of you know him as Brendini. The great Brendini. came from, again, that summer, we had this recording session with this old Italian guy who had this makeshift recording studio in his basement. And he wanted to give everybody mafia names. So he handed Brendon his name. That of course stuck. A couple other quick stories. I know this has taken a lot of time. So I moved out to San Francisco after the landscape business, and Brendon came with me. He lived with me for about 2 years on and off because of Uncle Rob's flight status and flight privileges. These Blaha boys, I don't know how they do it. They're probably the only people who will decide to pick up and leave with about $27 in their pocket, go to Amsterdam, or wherever, for a week at a time. No clothes, nothing. $20 and then collect call or something. It's a nice privilege that you bestowed upon them. So Brendon lived on my floor. He was working we were trying to find him jobs. He had a job for a little at the Crab Shack down in Fisherman's Wharf. He came home every single night in this giant yellow rain jacket, smelling like something had died inside his bucket, and he was soaked. And so every morning he'd wake up in my corner, sheets, and then as soon as I left for work, he'd jump in my bed, and I'd come home, and there'd be a raincoat in my bed, soaked through the sheets. But it was great. We loved it. That was so it's about maybe 8 years ago, and Brendon and I started surfing because we're right there at Ocean Beach. If anybody knows Ocean Beach in San Francisco, it's a very powerful beach break. It's a very hard place to learn how to surf. So we were out there charging away at it. Brendon, I think, had a shoulder injury that first year, and my girlfriend at the time, she had this bright pink boogie board. And Brendon in Ocean Beach was pretty intimidating. So we're out there trying to figure out how to surf and dropping in on guys. We're getting yelled at. Brendon put away the surfboard, and for the rest of the season, he was out there floating in this bright pink boogie board. So it was me and him with all these locals trying to learn how to surf, and we always knew exactly where he was because that bright pink boogie board. Brendon got a job at an office. It lasted about 2 weeks. It was going great. He had some conflicts with his boss. The office was StubHub. He got it through a temp agency, so he's there. They had a inter-office messaging system where everybody's sharing the same kind of instant message window, and you can share messages. So Brendon, they also weren't allowed to use email, or it was frowned upon. So Brendon comes home one night with a story about how he just got fired, and he decided to write an email to somebody about how much he disliked his boss. So he was writing this email, and to hide it, he decided to write it in the chat room window. He thought he would just copy and paste it into an email real quick. Only Brendon finished this long-winded email and then posted it. So everybody in the whole company saw it. 2 minutes later, people were walking by his desk saying, "Brendon, what? You just do." Strangely enough, he actually, after he got fired, he got hired back again in some other department. And then on the second day of that other stint, he sees the same boss in the elevator. And the guy's like, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, "I'm over here now." Sure enough, he got fired again. from the same office. I've got lots of stories that I can go on for hours. Brendon was one of my best friends. He was just one of those people in life that you could drive down the road and you could not say anything, or you could just talk about everything and you could just laugh. And it's a kind of laughter that it's just this pure, unjudged, just joy. You could say anything and you'll listen and he'll listen, and that was the bond that we had. Getting a call about 25 days ago. I got a text message from my brother. I saw a missed call from my dad. I went back to my phone. My brother said, "What happened to Brendon?" Immediately my stomach just dropped. So my brother's in Japan. I called my dad and told me what had happened. Everything's changed since then. It's going down to San Diego. Some of you were there. My mom and I got there. We got there Tuesday night. We got there Friday night at about 2 a.m. We walked into the down Scripps Hospital. It's a name that I think we'll all remember forever. And we located a section of the hospital. It was in the surgical ICU. It's a place that you probably never want to be. We walked in. I remember walking around the little quad for his room, and the nurses just pointed us. I didn't know what I was going to see there, and I still had hope, and just pulling back that curtain, seeing Brendon lying there in that bed. Aunt Joan was there at 2 in the morning next to him, holding on to him, and knew just right away that he was gone, and that was it. And that the sound of the respirator, the tubes coming out of him, his head bandaged, the loose clothes that he was wearing, the things that were wrapped around his leg. I think they were some kind of monitor type system, tubes at the stomach, sounds, seeing his heartbeat right there. The one thing that really made it real was when I saw on his chest, he was wearing dog tags. It said, gift of life, organ donor. And seeing that I still am wrestling with what that meant to me, but at that moment, it was like he was prepared for death. Everybody had prepared, and there was nothing left. Those are even tan. And, so, actually, I have 2 quick quotes. And Greg, I'm going to steal something from you because Uncle Greg went on a walk today with me, and he said something that I thought was really poignant. He said, "Everyone dies, but Brendon lived." And that's really true. I thought that was great. I just have one quick thing here that I'd like to read. A long time ago, I took some poetry courses when I was in college, and there is this really beautifully written poem by Rob Waldo Emerson. It was one of the saddest things that I ever read, and it took me a few times to read it to really feel the gravity of it. But it fits. And this was written in Old English in New England somewhere on a cold day. So the metaphors might not line up to what we felt when we were in San Diego, in the 90-degree weather and the most beautiful sunshine I'd seen in a while, coming from San Francisco. But here's the poem. I think it still works. Okay. On that shaded day, dark, with more clouds than tempests are, when thou didst yield thy innocent breath in bird-like heavings unto death. Night came, and nature had not thee. I said, we are mates in misery. The morrow dawned with needless glow. Each snowbird chirped, each fowl must crow. Each tramper started, but the feet of the most beautiful and sweet of human youth had left the hill.